Imagine a war in Europe, a nuclear standoff, and the only alliance strong enough to stop it begins to crack from the inside, not because of enemies, but because of allies. This is the plan to split NATO in half, and it is already underway. For the first time since the Cold War, NATO is no longer one unified voice. It is two competing visions, fighting for control. One believes the war in Ukraine must be won at any cost. The other believes the war must be frozen before it pulls the entire continent into something worse. Behind closed doors, leaders are choosing sides. The split begins with one simple question. What is the end game? Victory or stability? Poland, the Baltic states, and the United Kingdom insist the only path to peace is forcing Russia back to the old borders. Every inch must be reclaimed. Every missile must be answered. Every threat must be matched. To them, anything less is betrayal. On the other side, Germany, France, Italy, and the Nordic states are terrified. Their fear is not Russia. It is escalation. They believe one more miscalculation could pull NATO into a direct fight with a nuclear power. Two visions, inside one alliance. Inside European ministries, a quiet concept paper is circulating. It describes a future where Europe divides into two branches, a deep defense bloc led by Poland and the UK, and a negotiation bloc led by Germany and France. Two strategies, two chains of command, two futures. Publicly, nobody supports it. Privately, everyone is studying it. The United States sits at the center of the fracture. Washington holds the intelligence, the weapons, and the leverage. Yet even inside the American government, opinions are splitting. One side wants to keep pressure on Moscow for as long as it takes. The other wants to pivot toward the Pacific, where China is rising faster than any adversary the West has seen in generations. Tension in Washington becomes tension in Europe. NATO has one rule and one lifeline. If one member is attacked, all members respond. But what happens if half the alliance wants confrontation and the other half refuses to fight? What happens if a missile lands in Poland, but Germany says the alliance should not reply? The shield becomes a question mark. And adversaries pay attention. In Moscow, this fracture is not a rumor, it's a strategy. Russian analysts argue that Europe can be divided by fear, economics, and exhaustion. The longer the war continues, the deeper the cracks become. In Beijing, the split is studied even more carefully. If NATO breaks into factions, American influence fades, and China gains room to maneuver across the Pacific, Africa, and the Middle East. A weakened NATO is not a European issue. It is a global shift. Diplomats fear one moment, one crisis that forces nations to reveal which bloc they belong to. It could be a new Russian offensive, a strike near a NATO border, or a collapse in Kiev that triggers a scramble for control. If the alliance disagrees at that moment, NATO does not weaken slowly. It breaks instantly. One vote, one refusal, one hesitation, and the longest military partnership in the modern world becomes two rival visions that can no longer coexist. A split NATO changes everything. It changes how Europe defends itself. It changes how American power reaches across the world. It changes how authoritarian states calculate their risks. If the alliance fractures, Russia gains more than territory, China gains more than influence, and the world enters a new era, one where alliances are temporary and security becomes optional. This is not just a geopolitical shift, it's a warning. NATO does not collapse when enemies attack, it collapses when allies stop believing in the same future. And right now, that belief is fading. If this breakdown made you rethink what is really going on, subscribe for more deep dives, turning points, and power plays they do not want you to see inside Room 45. Because what they are not telling you might be the most important part of the story.